Welcome to Africans Playing RPGs. Hopefully you can hear me because a little thing popped up said your audio was removed or something. Hopefully you can hear me. Um, so we're about to get into it. As a matter of fact, I'm going to check to make sure you can hear me. I'm going to look on here. Let's see here. On YouTube. 1, 2. Can you hear me? On YouTube. Oh, yeah. Okay, there we go. 1, 2. All right, good. Can you hear me? So we're cooking with gas. This episode won't be playing a game, but I want to introduce a game to you, okay? That I've been working on, and we will be playing on Tuesdays. Been thinking about playing it solo, but this one's a little difficult because the game is called Stick It to the Man. And in that game, sometimes you may have to pull off heists, bank expropriations, or what have you. And to do that as an individual, unless you're playing a whole team or cell, it would be difficult. And I'll get to it and tell you why. So, anyway, created this game called Stick It to the Man. It's set in the 1960s, early 70s, during the time when the Black Power movement was at its peak. Okay, and you play a member of an organization that's part of the Black Power movement, a militant organization. Okay, and we're going to get into it. I'm going to read you the introduction to the game, and we'll get right into it. Okay, so in the 60s and early 70s in America, thousands of Black people embraced the strategy of nonviolent protests against racial segregation and demanded equal rights under the law. Yet in dozens of Black communities, the people picked up arms to defend themselves. Armed resistance was critical to the liberation struggle and the dismantling of segregation and Black disenfranchisement. To overcome racism and segregation, Black people had to overcome fear to present a significant challenge to white domination. Young Black men and women in particular believed nonviolent protests had failed to adequately address the poverty and powerlessness that generations of systemic discrimination and racism had imposed on so many Black people. Inspired by the principles of racial pride, autonomy, and self-determination expressed by Malcolm X, as well as liberation movements in Africa, Asia, and Latin America, the Black Power movement that flourished in the late 60s and 70s argued that Blacks in America should focus on creating economic, social, and political power of their own rather than seek integration into white-dominated society. More militant groups like the Black Panther Party did not discount the use of violence and embraced the pursuit of freedom, equality, and justice for the people. But it was felt that there was a need to be able to actually defend the Black community. The people understood that if they were going to make revolution, if they were going to create self-determining areas in their neighborhoods, then they had to be willing to defend it by any means necessary. So the Black Liberation Army was born. Stick It to the Man is about the people standing up and fighting back against the man. It is about the People's Ranger Division, the PRD, a highly trained, well-organized, militant underground organization for the protection of the people and dismantling and dethroning of the man. So in the game, you are playing members of this organization, the PRD, which is inspired heavily by the Black Liberation Army, by the way. In it, you're trying to stick it to the man, all right? Fighting back against oppression, waging revolution. There are a few games that have been made in that vein. Well, 3 that I know of: Spire, and I believe it's called Heart. One is based on the other. That's about revolution. It's dealing with, I think, dwarves rebelling against elves, or some elves rebelling against the higher elves. I'm not sure. Then you have the game Comrades, which is based on revolution. It can be any time, but it's really geared towards during the time of the Bolsheviks. It's older times, right? So I wanted to do something that was more modern, not today. If you look at the games we've been playing, all of them have a revolutionary bent to them. But this one I wanted to go all the way with a game about revolution itself, okay? No elves, no dwarves, no magic, unless you're doing hoodoo or something, no nothing fantastical like that, just gritty, raw, something that still can be fun, still that some laughs involved in it, but it's action packed. It's going to require thinking and teamwork, really, to get things done. Okay. So, who is the man? Deal with some basics here of the game. And the game should be out probably 2 to 3 weeks, maybe a month. Who is the man? The man is not an individual per se. The man are the oppressors of the people. They are the police and other agents of the state. They are the mob. They are politicians and anyone who serves or supports white power. So they can have a black face. They're serving and supporting white power, or the agents of the state. They're the man. And your job, if you're playing, is to stick it to the man. Okay. You belong to a cell in the People's Ranger Division. People's Ranger Division, the members of it are highly trained, well organized, and deadly serious about the people and what it takes for the people to be liberated. Okay. Some dealing with basics, rolling the dice. So it's a dice-based system. Start to go with cards, but that's too strategic. I wanted it to be, a lot of times you're using cards, I created a system where you could play very fast with the cards, but I wanted it to be where you're strategic to the point you hardly even roll the dice, but when you do, we want something quick, right? So we use regular 6-sided dice, the cubicle dice, right? That you find everywhere. They're ubiquitous. When you need to roll dice, the text will note it as a D, a capital D, because there's no other die there, so it wouldn't say 2 die 6 or 2, because there's no 2 die 4, there's no 2 die 8. It's only 6-sided dice. Okay, so it will say 2D, right? That means roll 2 dice and add the results together. Okay. In this game, DM means dice modifier. So in some games, the DM in a game that should not be named is a dungeon master, right? That's short for dungeon master, but not in this game. DM means dice modifier. That's a number you add or subtract from the dice roll. Okay. Most of the times it's a 2 dice roll, 2D roll, right? And you add or subtract a dice modifier from that. So 2D DM2. That's 2 dice modifier 2 means 2D DM minus 2 actually. That means roll 2 dice and add the results together and then subtract 2 from the total. So I roll 2 dice and let's see here. Let's say I roll 2 dice. Got an 11. Can't really see that, but I got an 11. Take away 2. That's a 9. Okay. The basic, and it's not, the minuses is going to be based on your attributes and other things, situations. So you may not get a minus, you may get a plus. You know, you may not get a plus or a minus. It just be the dice roll. Depends on what's going on. So this is how you do it. You throw 2 dice. Okay. Throw 2 dice. Add the relevant skill or characteristic dice modifier. So you have a skill and it gives you a dice modifier of +1. I roll. I got a 5 + 1, 6. Okay. That's simple. And then, so throw 2 dice, add the relevant skill or characteristic DM. If the total is equal to or higher than the target number, you succeed. So the game master determines the target number. So they'll say it's a target number of, they'll say throw strength 8+. That means throw 2 dice and add your strength modifier. Okay. If the total is 8 or more, you succeed. So if I'm told roll strength 8+, my strength gives me a 1 modifier. 1 modifier on that, I roll. Let's just say my strength gave me a 1. I rolled an 8. I was supposed to, so got to roll higher, equal to or higher than an 8, right? I got an 8 + 1. That's so I would have gotten it anyway, but +1 is 9. I succeed. That's how that works. It's that simple. Okay. The amount by which your total throw exceeds or misses the target number is called the effect. So using that example, when I got the 9, that means my effect is +1. Okay. So let's say I roll a total of an 11 on that throw. My effect would be 11 minus 8. You subtract 8 from it, right? It's the difference between how much you exceed or miss the target number. So it's the difference between that. You subtract it from what you get. So I get an 11. 11 minus 8 equals 3. That's my effect. Okay. But let's say I roll a 4. 4 minus 8 is -4. That would be my effect. -4 if I rolled a 4. And my target was 8. That's how I missed it by 4. So it's -4. Okay. A natural result of 2, I'm rolling 2 die, right? 2D. A natural result of 2 is always a failure. And that doesn't matter, regardless of skills or other DMs. Okay, remember DMs is a dice modifier. A natural result of 12 is always a success, even in adverse situations. You roll 12, you succeed. Okay. Opposed throws. Now, an opposed throw is a situation where two characters oppose each other in an attempt. For example, you're trying to sneak past the guard. Okay. Every character trying to sneak past, they roll 2 dice plus the appropriate skill or characteristic modifier, right? The higher roll wins. Okay. And that includes the person you're trying to sneak past. Reroll all ties to determine who succeeds. So say I'm trying to hide from this person. You know, I'm trying to hide. Oh shit, the guard's coming. I try to hide. I roll my 2 dice plus my modifier. Say I have no modifier. I roll the 2 dice. I get a 7. They're trying to spot me. They're trying to find me. They know somebody's in here. They're trying to find me, right? They roll plus they have an awareness roll, let's say, an awareness skill, and they give them a +1. So they roll, 10 plus 1, 11, I'm caught. Uh-oh. Right. So that's how that works. In the pose roll, it was my hide versus their awareness. They rolled the 2 dice, I rolled the 2 dice. And then we look at, they got a higher result, so they succeeded. Let's say we both got a total of 6. That's a tie. We roll that. I got a 7. They got a 7, but they got the +1, 8. Still got caught. That's how that works. So those are the basics of, and that's what everything revolves around. That the basics of sticking to the man. Of course, you have the ability to pull off heists, bank expropriations, rallies. You can form them. You can form protests. You can rally up people to your aid. All kinds of things can happen in the game, but it basically revolves around those 2 dice being rolled plus die modifier. Okay. Now I said I would, and that's, look for that to come out 2 to 4 weeks. We'll start playing it during that same time. Maybe before, on Tuesdays. We didn't play last Tuesday. One of my oldest daughter was in transit from here. And then this Tuesday, well, yesterday, today's the 29th, 2 days ago, my third daughter had my 6th grandbaby. And the baby's doing well. She's beautiful. And, but my daughter just had the baby. She's tired. Knew no way she's coming on here to do the show. So I decided I would do a special episode where I tell you about the upcoming game. The artwork for that game is being done right now for the cover of that game. And also to talk to you about the upcoming Black Tabletop Game Fest. Now that we're going to host on this channel, we're going to have several different games played. Spades, Uno, a couple of role-playing games, right? We'll probably do a spades tournament for money. We'll see, but we're gonna do spades. I'm looking at doing that in November. I'm gonna have to do a Kickstarter, so I want all of you all to support out there. We're gonna be doing a Kickstarter to raise money to buy games, things to give away, the prize money, but also to rent the venue. So we're going to, and the tickets to be in it. Uh, instead of buying your tickets, just buy your ticket. You'll get your ticket through Kickstarter. Um, so you'll get the ticket plus probably a bookmarker, African playing RPGs bookmarker or something like that. Uh, and you go up higher in your tier, you'll get one of the games, a game, and one of the novels by myself or another one of my author friends, things of that nature. So we'll tell you more as we get closer. But we were going to do this back in 2020, but of course, uh, we got hit by a pandemic and it shut all that down. Uh, it was before we, got into the virtual thing. Of course, the pandemic, it brought about the boom of using virtual, playing virtual games, you know, virtual meetings and everything. That was really the boom for that. Okay. Uh, but so a lot of good things came out of it. People got innovative and creative, but a lot of people were hit hard by that. We all know that. Most of us lost somebody during that time. I lost a lot of somebody during that time. Nobody in the family, in my biological family, or my family by marriage, thank goodness. But a lot of martial arts peers, um, lost some comrades, so we lost some people. But anyway, so we weren't able to do it then. I had the venue and different things, weren't able to pull it off. Two things we were doing: uh, the Black Tabletop Game Fest and Warrior Con, which was I was bringing in martial artists from around the world, indigenous martial artists from Senegal, from Colombia, from Hawaii. I was bringing different indigenous martial artists, and we were going to train, do panels, uh, discuss the realities of those martial arts, the real histories, and exchange technique. And we're going to get back to that too. But on this channel, so I have this channel 24/7, and there are things I want to do with it. If you have ideas, you can hit me up. Um, if anyone wants to play, uh, stick it to the man. That's the old players, the players who've been playing with me the whole time, as well as new players. Please hit me up at africansplayingrpgs@gmail.com, or you can reach me on at africansplayingrpgs on Instagram, and let me know. And we'll see if we jive well, then you're welcome. To play with us. We got a pretty good group. We love to laugh and have some fun. So join in. I'll be reaching out to the cast that's already with us, and as well as some other folks. I want to reach out to some celebrities in Afrofuturism, see if they'll join us, if they'll play. It's going to take some cajoling, and I'll see. But we're going to have a good time either way. It's great being on here with you all, every week. Life hits us all, so a lot of times some of the players can't make it. We got players that are actors in movies, so they have to go act. And So we, trying to figure it out. Our schedule on Tuesdays, we do um, whichever game. The last game we played was The Haunting of Truth High, which is horror and wild, outrageous. On Tuesdays. On Thursdays, we play Kikanga. That's me, my wife, my daughter. It's a family thing that we're doing on there. Uh, I think on either Wednesdays or Fridays, I'll be playing a solo game, probably Grandma's Hand, which is my superhero game I wrote. It's set in the golden age. So the heroes got to deal with racism as well as saving others. So that I'll probably play solo on Wednesday or Friday. We'll see how it goes. I'm also a martial art instructor, uh, weapons instructor, firearms, knives, sticks, what have you. Uh, just had baby. Our baby just turned 5 months. Okikiola. Doing a lot. So we try to make it. Writing the film, screenplay with a comrade of mine. I'm doing different, planning to shoot a film. We're doing a lot, and probably gonna have to slow myself down because my wife should tell me I need to slow down, and I don't say even usually, she's always right. So I probably need to slow down a little bit, but um, there's some things I want to do, and even though uh, our viewership may be low on here, it's going to grow. Someone has to introduce Black people to role playing games, and I decide, well, I'll do it. Right. Because back in the day with steampunk, Black people weren't into steampunk. Me, Milton Davis, Val John Jefferson, may she rest in power, uh, and others got together and created steampunk, which is steampunk through an African lens. And I said, I'm going to make the world aware of it. The world's going to know uh, before I'm done. I created a website called The Chronicles of Harriet, based off of my book, The Chronicles of Harriet Tubman. Okay. And every week I was doing a blog. Back in those days, people aren't really into blogs too much now. They get podcasts now, but every week I was doing a blog. It went well. Steampunk got known from me doing that work and from all of us who were writing the steampunk books, doing the steampunk books. We were doing panels around the country. Um, and steampunk became cool. Black folk began to start wearing steampunk stuff at events. You even saw T-Pain wearing, steampunk clothes. He made an album where he had steampunk clothes on it. I think it's called Revolution. Revolution. I'm dealing with Revolution with Stick It to the Man. But and that's actually a pretty good album where he isn't using auto tune. He's singing, I guess, because during the 1800s, which is when steampunk is set 1837 to 1901. During that time, they didn't have auto tune, obviously. So he's singing with his regular voice, and it's good. It's a good album. So we did it then. We could do it now with the role playing games. Even then, Milton and I made waves when we created Kikanga, the Sword and Soul role playing game. That didn't exist. People doing role playing games set in Africa. I've been doing this since I was a child, setting that game that won't be named, setting it in Africa and making characters as well as the settings that fit Africa, right? So we made Kikanga, which is an analog. It's for Africa, right? Um, Instead of 54 countries, it's 16 countries. We kind of, those countries that were similar in reality, in the game, we kind of combined, we did certain things, creative things, but the flavor is very African. It's good stuff. Um, there have been other attempts by non-Africans to do that, uh, and there were little sparks of racism in them. And so we decided we needed to do it from people that are African. Okay. You know, were you born in Africa? I was born in Chicago. Like Malcolm X said, you put a cat in the oven, it has kittens. Well, are those kittens biscuits? No, they're kittens. Doesn't matter that I was born here. Africa was born in me. Right? I am African. People say, which country in Africa? Africa, that's a whole other discussion. In fact, tune into Black Power Media and you can find discussions about that. Okay. Why we say I'm African, not I'm Nigerian, I'm Igbo, whatever, Kosa, whatever it may be. We say I'm African, right? Not African American, African, period. So there are reasons why. Do your research so you understand why. And then keep tuning in with us. Things pop up, all kinds of things, you know. And we're gonna have fun playing together. Different games, not just always my games. The reason why we've been playing my games is because I want to keep things that are simple, short, but not too short, right? And written by people of color. If you've written a rules like game or a game that's easy to digest, because we ain't trying to, you know, a 400-page game, not trying to do it. But if you have an easily digestible game, remember, the goal here is to reach out to people who never played role-playing games before. It's a lot of black. So in Chicago, a lot of us played. You know, we had whole tables of black people, but there are other people saying, you know, it was just me. It was just me. And I want to show the world it's not just that individual. We play, and it's fun, and it doesn't have to be all you speaking another language, even when you're not playing, and just going overboard with that shit. No. My students know me. I'm cool. I may be eccentric, but I'm cool. Okay, and I don't have to just nerd out, geek out. I always say I like nerdy things, but I was never a nerd. In fact, the nerds got mad at me. I wrote an article years ago on the Chronicles of Harriet that was I no longer maintain that site, but on the Chronicles of Harriet, I wrote an article about showing the bully and the nerd have similar psychologies, okay, personalities. Or they got mad. Nobody could defeat my argument because I went to school with a bunch of people who you would say are absolutely nerds, and they were some arrogant jerks. It's on the other side. So people say, well, you know, they're not like jocks. They were. Some people, and most jocks I knew, they were not assholes, really. So at our school, when you're young, everybody was smart. To get into school, you had to be a smart person, right? So the football players, everybody was smart. But you had nerds who projected what people thought was smartness, and it was arrogance and cliquishness. I remember two things. I started playing Dungeons and Dragons because I went to some of and these were all white nerds. They were playing this game, and I asked what it was, but you wouldn't understand this game. Oh, really? And I end up being the dungeon master at our school. Everybody wanted to play with. And then I put that game down, the game that should not be named, and got into others. So I started introducing people to the other games as well, right? Expanding our consciousness on that stuff. Start experimenting with making games and create. Everybody makes house rules for that game that should not be named, but I was making house rules for other games, while in high school. Okay, so I was doing that at the same time. I was a track star, and I was, hollering at a lot of sisters. It's different. And I always told people, when they go overboard with sports, painting themselves the color of their favorite team and all that, that's a nerd too. But usually those sports nerds, some are, but most of them aren't that arrogant. Another thing that happened when I went to the chess team. Said, can I play with you guys? This is only for chess masters. None of them were chess masters. In fact, Maya Hodari and her sister. Maya Hodari was a chess master. She was a junior chess master. Friend of mine. Right? She could beat all of them. She wasn't in the chess club. Her sister was great too. Probably the whole family, right? I went in there. Those are the only two people that could beat me. Maya and her sister. Sorry, I can't remember your name, Maya's sister. But you were great as well. Only master. I said, well, let's play during lunch. You could beat me in front of everybody and, get a good laugh. This person, I won't name him. I should, but I won't. He's an asshole. So we played. I ate him up. Then he asked me, to be in the chess club. I said, oh, no. We don't. Same shit he did. No, we don't do that. We don't. Only masters. Only play with masters. Like, man, get out of here. Stop being an asshole. Whatever you're skilled at, always remember, and I'm going to end with this, but always remember the master blacksmith in one town is the student blacksmith in another. So however great you are, there's always somebody greater than you at that thing. And if you're the greatest one, you wouldn't know it anyway because you don't know everybody in the world. So stop being an asshole. And you can learn from other people. But if you're being an asshole, you won't because you're closed off. You think you already know. And there are people that know so much more than you. I had a person tell me one time in my own house, I'm a master of so-and-so. Listen, I said, well, you ain't the only master in this house, motherfucker. You ain't the only master in this house. There are two things that I've mastered. I've been blessed to. And I didn't call myself a master. I was told I had to accept the title. And my students tell I was calling myself a master instructor. Just calling myself a master. I didn't. It ain't got nothing to do with slavery. Just that's too hardy of a title. So you hear people call me Oga in the martial art. That means master. Okay. People trip me out with that. And I don't run around telling people that. And if you know me, we could talk, joke, laugh. Never am I going to be acting big-eyed and you a little you. Never. When we salute in our class, we all slap our hands. We go down onto one knee. This hand's up. Our right hand's touching by knee to earth. That means something. Come to class, I'll tell you what that means. But we're all at the same level. It's not like I bow a little bit, you bow a lot. We all bow down, go down to our knees, and then we come up at the same time. And no, this wasn't created by goddamn Marvel, Wakanda Forever. We've been doing this since before some of y'all were born. Okay. So, for several decades, we've been doing that. So we go down, come up, and then the hands come down. So that's how we salute. That means knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. You see the same thing on the tombs in Kemet. I think what they're in, like the coffin, I think it's more called sarcophagus, but the hands across there, one hand holds a rod and the other holds a scepter or something like that. I'm not that up on Egyptology as I am on West African tradition, but that doesn't come from Egypt either. You know. All right, so I'm gonna let you all go. Thanks for your time. Remember, join us. We'll be playing Stick It to the Man. You can join us on Thursdays at 8. That's doing this time. We would normally, so this time is when we normally play Kikanga, the family. But baby was born, so my wife and my daughter Yemi, they're with my daughter Yomi, who you've seen if you watch us play on Tuesdays. Bami Tale, her name's also Yomi. There with her, she just had the baby. So that's where they're at. All right. Have a good night. Be safe. Be careful out here. And keep having fun. Stay sharp. Peace.